the next thing I want us to talk about is just kind of an overview or a review of some of the terms that you've been studying. Sarah, join us. Join us, please. Sorry to interrupt your slumber. Were you having a good dream? You were resting your eye. Okay. Great. All right. I had some wild dreams last night. Somehow, I was running into these little rooms in this like old house, and it like had these cheesy little closets. You know, if you've ever been like in a real antique home, you know a lot of the older homes weren't built with closets, so they add the closets in later. You know,
and it's kind of awkward.
And it's kind of awkward the way they'll be kind of in a corner in this big closet kind of added in or whatever. And so I was running through that, and I was opening closet doors looking for a gunman. That's what I was doing. A gunman, like somebody with a gun. And I was hunting them out. And somehow I was finding them in like every room. And I was like jumping in and opening the closet and bang, 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 you know, and then I'd run to the next one and then shoot that guy and then shoot the next guy. And somehow I never ran out of bullets. I just never did. I just kept at them. It was like seven. It was pretty wild. My adrenaline was going. One of them jumped out from behind the shower curtain at me. And that was the close range one, you know. That was the bang, bang, bang.
How much did you have to drink last night?
What? Yeah, I don't know what it was. Must have been that Kool-Aid, you know. Okay, let's go through this. Let's start some review. Okay, the Minoan civilization was centered where? Okay, Crete. The Minoan civilization is centered at Crete. If you think about the leading commercial center of mainland Greece, what people group or what nation was it? And we're talking about ancient. The Mycenaeans. They were the commercial center of Mycenae, the commercial center of mainland Greece. Who were the Dorians?
Invaders.
They invade and they conquer which civilization? The Mycenaean. They invade and they conquer the Mycenaean civilization. They usher in a new period of Greek history. Olympic Games are held in honor of whom? And that has a lot to do with the Olympiad. What's that? The Greek gods and Zeus. Specifically Zeus. I know that Olympics are not specifically mentioned here, but Olympiad is. So notice that comparison. Okay, the Helots. What are Helots? Slaves of Dorians are Spartans. They are slaves of Spartans. Okay, let's talk again about these leagues. The Peloponnesian League. Spartans unite with other city-states to form this league. And basically the idea is to minimize the spread of Athenian culture. To minimize. By the way, guys, look at what culture will do to you. Watch what culture will do to you. And it's not like, oh, culture. We all have it. I'm not saying like say no to culture. That's not what I'm about to say. I mean, we all have a culture. We all have a way of life. But frequently, we think whose way of life is better? Ours. We like the way we live. It's part of our value system. Our culture is better. And notice how we all do that. I think it takes somebody that's very critical. When I say critical, they can think critically, and somebody that I'm sorry. Normally I wouldn't take a text message in class. My sister is recovering from her surgery well, so that's good. Like a gallbladder removal today, so I started at 7:30 this morning. So we typically think that our culture is best. It takes a lot of maturity. It takes a lot of critical thinking to be able to say, well, you know, that culture does that thing better than our culture does, and I think that's good. I think our nation is having a lot of trouble with that. We're getting to a place where we're trying to say, well, everybody else's culture is better than ours. No, not all the time. You got to look at the parts and the pieces and use your brain to figure that out. But anyway, notice how the Spartans were resisting Athenian culture spread. Okay, during the age of Pericles, Athens has what type of government?
Democracy.
A democracy, and he was sort of that leading statesman that led in that. We're talking about Pericles. Who formed? What's significant about the Delian League? The Delian League.
It was like the alliance in Greek cities.
The alliance of Athens and Greek city-states formed to resist whom? Sparta and their culture, their way of life. Okay. Now, when we move into, by the way, guys, you need to know a lot of these weird Greek named guys. Okay, Socrates and Plato. Who wrote the Republic? Who wrote the Republic? Plato. Okay, so notice as you go through and you build those cards, if you're doing cards, or notes, if you're doing notes, notice you need to list out the things that these folks were known for. Be able to play Who Am I with them. Okay, the Peloponnesian War, there's a question on there about that. We talked about that. Who is Darius the Third?
Persian
king.
All right, he's the Persian. He's the emperor of Persia, so he is going to be the commander-in-chief of the military. What happens to him?
Alexander comes up and tells him to just chill.
That's right. Alexander comes to him and defeats him. Alexander conquers Darius the Third. So let's remember him for being the one that lost to Alexander the Great. Yeah, that's pretty tough, isn't it?
He ran home.
Yeah, just get out of Dodge. That's tough stuff.
He left his family there. He left his family because
Yeah.
he was scared of Alexander.
That's bad off. I mean, I hope I never do anything like that. It'd be a tough homecoming. No, hi, honey, I'm home. You're what? All right, so okay, let's talk about this. Be sure that you know these. Be sure that you know these terms: monarchy, oligarchy, tyranny, anarchy, democracy. I think y'all are doing pretty good with those. You should be able to recognize those. Oligarchy is ruled by a few. Who claimed that every disease was the result of a natural cause and dismissed the idea that it was curses and spells and anger of the gods? It was not Pythagoras, Katie. Hippocrates. Remember, notice too, if you know that he's the father of medicine, then he's going to be talking about medicine.
He denied what?
he denied that diseases and illnesses were like the result of making the gods angry. He said that all of them were the result of natural causes, like chemical imbalance or whatever. They had not thought of or developed the idea of germs, the germ theory. They hadn't done any of that, but he said there's something natural with this. It's just an illness. Now, we've got a couple of historians in this. Can you tell me who the historians are in this Greek philosopher lineup? Herodotus is one of them. Who's our other one? Thucydides? I don't necessarily know how to pronounce it. Thucydides, but it's that guy. Thucy. Thucy. Is that the way you pronounce that? Thucy? I mean, it's kind of like Lucy. Thucy. Lucy? I don't know. Okay. Know these folks here. Aristophanes, Parthenon, Euclid, who writes a book on geometry named, I think it was it Elements? Was that the name of it? Elements? Who is that guy? Euclid, yes.
On several of these, it says that some of these people are contemporary of certain people. Is that like a student or a follower of those people?
No, it means they lived at the same time as. They lived at the same time as. If it says pupil, student, disciple, that means a vertical teaching relationship. But contemporary just means lived at the same time as these other things were going on. What are the humanities?
It's like a study of human thought.
Study of human thought. Hellenistic age. What was the Hellenistic age?
The age of the Greeks.
The age of the Greeks, the age of the Greek Empire, when the Greeks had sort of spread their culture into Asia. Spread their culture into Asia. All right. So far, I've got 32 questions. 32 questions, most of them multiple choice. Plus this is a possibility, one of these here.
How many multiple choice?
27. But I've not included a couple. I've still got a couple I need to add in. So, I mean, that's just so far what I've